of interest. This is the evaluation committee meeting for RPS-25-00208, predictive modeling for pipeline failures. My name is Ethan Kersey, and I'm the senior bioscience of this project. This meeting is being held in part by means of communications media technology and has been publicly noticed. Active participation will be for committee members only. Provisions have been made for any member of the public desiring to have access to view the meeting. The recording will also be available after the meeting has ended. If you are watching online, please ensure you keep your camera off and microphone muted at all times. Please be advised that the cone of silence is still in effect. All meetings and correspondence must include me. Again, for the record, this meeting is being recorded and has been publicly noticed. At this time, I'll ask each voting committee member to introduce themselves for the record, beginning with the chairperson, Elizabeth Walton.
I am Elizabeth Walton, the committee chair of Water Resources Department.
I'm Scott Phillips of the Asset Management Team, Water Resources.
Andrew Hayslip, also with the Asset Management Team and Water Resources.
I'll also ask the non-voting committee advisor to introduce themselves for the record.
Dave Ricketts, I run the Asset Management Program, and we're the owners of this project.
Thank you. On June 6, 2025, we received a total of 8 proposals. The committee will evaluate, discuss, and score by consensus the proposals received. Each proposal is to be evaluated based only on the information provided in the proposal, as it correlates to the requirements and evaluation criteria set forth in the solicitation. The evaluation committee chair, Elizabeth, will lead the discussion for the scoring. After each category is discussed, please state the final consensus scoring agreed upon by each committee member so that I may record it in the scoring spreadsheet. After the conclusion of the scoring, I will verify the scores with the committee and provide the ranking. Elizabeth, I'll turn it over to you to begin.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for your hard work with this. I really appreciate your involvement and willingness to do this. Ethan, you have been wonderful to work with and have answered so many questions, at least from me and maybe the other team members as well.
It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you. We have decided that we're going to go through these and evaluate them in alphabetical order. And so we're going to start with the first one, and that is ACOM. We will then go through each section and we will rotate and go to somebody else who will introduce their original score and go through these sections on the next round. Any questions before we start? Okay. So ACOM. Criteria 1 is the ability of the firm and its professional personnel. I gave this particular company a 29 in this section.
I gave this company 34.
Okay, so
If you each want to elaborate just a little bit about why for each of those.
I give them a 32 based on his experience, the AI model, sort of model, and also the strength of their personnel on the project.
Yeah, just for this one, I just, according to the evaluation criteria, I probably had a superior level of experience for this type of work, and I seem well qualified for that.
they have more than 10 years of experience with predictive modeling. They have an expert in predictive modeling. They are industry leaders and contributing authors for AWWA and specifically the M77 and NASCO AI. So I can definitely increase my score, or we can average. So we have an average of 31. So 31, 32. Are you good with that?
I'm sorry, I'm not average.
Okay, 32.
32, 38, criteria 1.
Criteria 1. Criteria 2, the firm's experience with projects of a similar size and type. I gave them a 29 in this category as well.
I gave him a 28.
Yes. I noticed that in specifically.
Yeah, 30 for this one, the Toronto example, specifically, it seemed to be, they seem to have the most, full level of political experience on this, but.
So the average of that would be 28.
What would you say?
29. 28. I was 29, you were 30. Need it? All right. 29, sorry. 29.
29, consistent?
29. Criteria number 3, the firm's willingness and ability to meet the schedule and budget requirements. I gave them a 14.
I gave it 13.
With 15.
15. Like 14, be the average.
Yeah. Make sure you guys give just a little bit of explanation, please.
Sure. So, on this particular one, I thought it showed superior understanding of and approach to the scope, schedule, and budget. This was part of the response to that criteria. ACOM asked for a county DEM. We will have to see if we have something that's better than what the USGS has, but I thought that was a good understanding of the approach to this proposal. They also offered that they use Microsoft Project, and they allowed for a buffer on the timeline, so we wouldn't run into any issues. They were meeting the project timeline and budget. They will have monthly meetings as well with us and look for ways to save money and stay on budget. Also, what I thought was kind of interesting here was that Hillsborough County will be a prioritized flagship initiative for them. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I have many of those notes as well. Just adding to the fact that the superior project scope understanding, and they provided some key acceleration opportunities throughout to kind of come in, under budget if possible. I noted specifically. Yeah, I believe that just just the acceleration opportunities I thought were pretty stellar.
This is what pretty much the plan. Just said it. Well,
All right.
yeah, that, but the reason I was slave over is because I don't know that they got bigger cars.
Good point, but we have not outlined that in any of the criteria.
Okay.
Okay. And so the 215. 15 sound good? Criteria 4, effect of the firm's recent, current, and projected work order. I gave them a 17. I felt that ACOM will cross the train and allow step-ins if necessary. They have built-in redundancy and a workforce fully capable of stepping in when and if needed. That was criteria there. They also gave us the genetic algorithms and Monte Carlo simulations as part of the algorithms and methods that they were going to employ. I felt like they had a good understanding of the different data sets that would be needed to conduct a predictive model based on the pipeline failures. The added value was to be able to estimate the remaining useful life for our pipes and a geotechnical database. Other value-added notes I have is that they would provide hands-on training and ongoing tech support. They have experience with EAM. They will provide us with an SOP for conducting soil samples and pipe wall fitness in the field. They will provide us with user manuals and technical documents. And they would provide us with Esri and Power BI dashboards. So I felt like that was all really good information to have here.
I think it was 20. It's based primarily on availability of key numbers.
I gave the 20 as well, based on their outlined redundancy, that they're to scalable support, and the 100% availability of those key team members as well. And the graphical representation.
But no change. Doesn't sound good.
Thank you.
19.
I will do the subtotals at the end, so you guys could do it all.
Okay, so our next one is going to be Arcadis. And Andrew, do you want to cover that one?
Sure. So for the ability of the firm and its professional personnel, I gave Arcadis 35 on this one. They are, go through the criteria so I can make sure I just use the right language. Yeah, the key project team had, I thought, a superior level of experience to handle this project. Simply, but and the firm obviously has a unique relationship with the county and intimate understanding of our work and processes and things that I thought that as well. Yeah, very much.
I gave them a 35 as well, based on their experience in the Voda AI model. And the fact that they're two primary local
Right. I pretty much had the same thing, specifically that one of their employees was a former engineering director for Hillsborough County, and that means that this person does have an intimate understanding of what it was like during that time period, although it's been quite a while. I think all major disciplines represented, and I felt like they were superior in their understanding of the problem. So I gave it 32 on that one. So we've got 35, 35, so 34. That work?
Allow me to look on the better because we can still go, that's all for the county for about 15 plus years, you said?
Yes.
2007, I think it was.
2000, yes.
2007.
I think it's 2000 to 2007, so it's been a long period.
It'll be walking in 34
34,
for Arcadis criteria one. Correct.
exactly.
Okay, so for firm experience for projects of a similar size and scope, I gave this 29. I thought they have a robust experience with this type of work. The work with saws. There was that included and notably there was the San Antonio water system example, and then if you bear with me one moment. Yeah, so the Saul's example and also just the combination of with regards to like a lot of work focused in Florida and in Tampa. So regionally speaking, there's the local experience of the Tampa Bay. So I thought that kind of helped me bump them up a little bit. But I'm kind of open to good thoughts on this.
I gave them a 28 based in large part on their experience in Connecticut. It's something that probably very, very simple people do.
Okay, I gave it 27. I felt, the SARS example was really good. They had they developed the A curves. They were using the triple bottom line, which is something that we are hoping to move into. They developed the consequence of failure, likelihood of failure, and that again is something that we wanted to move into, as well as the development of service levels. They had used Voda AI, and using pipe break data, break history, operating pressures, soils, roadways. So I felt like they had a good understanding of what the expectations were. So we have any closures.
Um, Thirty.
Employee 28. That's
I agree with that.
28. Criteria 2.
Criteria 3, the firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. I gave this firm a 15 on this one as well. They outline redundancy, they outline contingency plans, opportunities for acceleration. I think they counted it all out there. Gave it 4 points.
I gave it 14, based again on local access, having a local office, emphasize continuous connect.
I gave them a 14 based on the redundancy factor, the bi-weekly, monthly meetings. I really liked the fact that they offered the use of the data profiler software, which is something that would be kind of an added value. They proposed an 8-month schedule. So that would be something that would be, we would like to get this done as quickly as possible. So yeah, having an 8-month schedule to get all of the data and everything was a good idea, I thought. So those are pretty much my reasons. We have 14, 14, and 15. Go with 14. What's on good? 14. 14. Criteria for education. It's back to me on criteria 4. The effect of the firm's recent, current, and projected workload. I gave them an 18. I felt that, they really, responded to everything that we asked for in the proposal. I thought the proposal was well organized. It was the appropriate length. And when we asked for specific things in each section, they described the current workload. They provided the graphic representation, and it was very easy to read and to understand and to follow. And so I felt like this one and ACOMS too were very easy to get through and to see how they could meet our objectives. So I gave an 18 on this one. Additionally, they have used the Da Vinci, which is one of the leading algorithms right now. They had all of the necessary and expected data layers based on previous projects. And they didn't really give us anything in terms of the added value, but that one that I was talking about, the use of the data profiler, that would help us fill in any gaps that we may have in our data, I thought would be very beneficial. So I gave them an 18.
I gave them a 19 for this one, for all, since you just laid out. 19 is at 20. The average, I think, availability, I think, of their key staff is around 62.5%. Good. I think in comparison to the other ones that were showing 100% availability from some of the key staff during the project, I think was reassuring. But yeah.
I gave it a 16, based on the chart, but they have only 60%. I'm sure that that was adequate for relatively short project.
So we have 18, 19, and 16. So probably an 18. Does that sound reasonable? 18.
18,
18.
criteria 4.
Criteria 4.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one we have is CPH. CPH consulting. Yes, please.
I scored them a 17. The ability to furnish professional personnel. The top level of the company is appear to be the traditional engineering company as far as doing new projects and rehab. So they do have some experience. The model building, most of that is outsourced to third parties or relax on. Most experience in the road model is under a company they don't actually know. That's why I scored it.
I gave them a 21, but honestly, based on the specific language in this criteria, I really struggled with this one. Because it says prime fund. And so I agree that they use a lot of outsourcing. They include partnerships with Voda and with Wagner. And so one of them is more like risk modeling, the other one is GIS and asset management, but the primary firm doesn't have as much experience on predictive modeling projects. And in my mind, if we are relying upon them for their expertise to be able to read through any issues that we may have, I found that problematic. Most of Voda's employees, one of their subcontractors, all worked on the same 2 projects. And so would like to have seen a little more experience with that. The primary firm has a lot of experience on force main assessments, pipe replacement, relocation projects. Wagner has a lot of experience with pipe replacement, relocation. So, yeah, the other disciplines were represented, but not by that primary firm. So I gave a 21.
Certainly great experience individually for the folks involved in that one, but I think for the language or the criteria for the being prime firm kind of folks, I have a 22.
Yes.
But for the reasons you know,
Okay, so it looks like we'll be at 20. Based on
Criteria 1, CPH. Right?
yes, please.
Criteria 2, their experience with project with a similar size and scope. I scored them a 15. Based on the fact that many of their projects, such as engineering projects, install rehabs.
I gave them an 8 and 18. And it was basically past projects include risk assessment by ranking, master plans. Others were AI conducted by Voda. So again, I didn't feel like the primary company here had enough experience with what we are doing.
makes me well.
So 17. 15. 17, please.
Their criteria, the willingness and ability to be scheduled, but requirements I gave them 13. Yeah, outlining very realistic time for the project.
So I gave them 13. Project manager will issue bi-weekly updates plus monthly progress meetings. They use Smartsheet software to assign the tasks, so they're tracking the progress of the project for them. They have a clear outline of the progression as well as data QAQC.
Yeah, I gave them a 15 on this one. I thought they did a good job kind of outlining with the graphical representation of their availability over the next several months. And also kind of keying in how they would check out the project. I thought that really did a good job with that. I think that's work.
Next, the 13, 13, 15, 14 sound reasonable. Okay, so 14. Okay, so that is it.
There's a video for you.
I'm sorry. I already switched the page, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
executive for
yes,
I gave them an 18 on that. They stated in their proposal that they have $1 million equivalent of that movie. That is more than that.
I gave them a 20. And I said that they're well staffed and could reassign key personnel if needed, and work production belongs to room for abundant work completion over the next 13 months. Additionally, they're using the meta eventually. They had, the good data layers, the private data, pipelining, roads, soil, weather, satellite data. They added value. They suggested that there may be funding sources available for risk mitigation, should we choose to pursue some of that. And they're saying this could potentially include predictive modeling. The state has approved this methodology, and so this might be something that we want to investigate. They provided results for they will provide results for likelihood of failure over the next 12 months. As well as 3, 5, 10, and 20 years. They will provide hands-on user interface training and future training needs as well. They estimated the project to take 13 months. And they would like us to provide them with the data we withheld to see how it aligns with their model predictions after they run it. So in this criteria, we've said that we would give them a certain number of points, but we would hold back the last year to do model validation. And so they're asking if they can have that after they've given us the results to see how it aligns. So I thought that was a good follow-up. So I gave them a 20.
If it was 17, just the percent availability from the key staff over this next year. Some were pretty low, but they do have the Tampa office, and they do have redundancy outlined, and so it's good. But
So we have 20, 20, and 17. We did 18, sorry. So it looks like,
I'm fine with that.
okay. So then that will give us the 19 average.
okay.
Overall for you.
I was 17.
Oh, you said,
Yeah. So I'm okay.
19.
thank you.
19, please. Okay, so the next one is ENOA. So criteria 1, ability of the firm as professional personnel. There were no resumes included, no organizational charts included, no roles indicated. I gave them 1 point for possibly having an understanding of the project requirements. So my score for this section was 1.
I gave them a 5 for the same reason, but yeah, there's no. I couldn't really tell. It's almost like
I gave him a 5 as well, just because there was something that to do like it.
So we have
Yeah.
3, 4, which what do you think?
when in this instance when there's nothing that we can really go on. What is there a precedent to be? Or I mean,
We have score range.
yeah.
So I think we need to stay within that range. We would justify That's for,
Right.
is that sound okay?
Yeah, yep.
Is that okay with you? Okay, so we have 11 total, we average that would be close to 4.
I would be fine with the giving. I want to give them 5 simply because they made the application.
Okay, all right. Well, let's give them 3. I don't think it's going to make or break. So 3 for that one. And appearing to.
Yes. The firm experience of with projects of a similar size and scope. I have a one for that one. I don't have any evidence of experience.
I don't know.
And 0. There was nothing included. So we give them a 1 that category. Is that, are we in agreement of 1?
Yes.
Okay, this one, yes.
So if you want to change criteria 3,
Category 3, I gave them 81.
gave them a 0. There's no indication of other responsibilities, no provision for managing and scheduling the budget, no indication of how the personnel will be assigned. There was just really nothing for me to judge, so I gave it a 0.
I have a 1 for
So we'll go with the sort 1 that category. Period 4, the effect of the firm's recent funds and projected workload. There's nothing submitted for this section. They did kind of hint that it could be open source based on what I saw on page 5. The data layers were kind of, they weren't clearly indicated, but there may have been a little hint to it on page 4. There was no other notes, no other way for me to base any kind of judgment, so I gave them a 0.
I gave them a 1. Okay, so the judge there. I'd be happy to make this.
A 0. Okay. 0. I would encourage if anybody is reviewing this taping at some point in the future, do they have access to all of the proposals that have been submitted?
They will have access to the proposals that will choose.
Okay, then I would suggest that some of these firms that do score poorly, that they go out and take note of how some of these others were put together, because there's great examples out there. I appreciate that they took the time and the effort to submit something, but it was really kind of a consumption of time that we could have used it other ways.
We are halfway through the firms. We want to take a break. Just keep going through.
Okay.
Next would be literature.
Whose turn was it?
for the ability of the firm and its professional personnel. I give them a 33. But they, granted the rest of these I felt these were really accomplished folks that I think really grasped the data science element side of this project quite well. So from a technical standpoint of their staff, I thought it was good. I think
Give them 17. Andy said they have great grants on the technology and the software. I didn't feel they were very strong.
I gave them a 29. I felt that they have several employees that have predictive modeling experience. But overall, I didn't feel like they had the strength of some of the requirements of this project we need. So 29. Six. 26.
26 for
26.
material.
Material. Criteria 2.
Criteria 2, I gave it 15 or 30 based on optimal them to follow.
I gave them a 12. I noticed that they had a proposed project of the advanced analytical decision support system for NYS OHIP. They had done some work with the EPA, there's a contact for other information. They gave us half a page section that has dates, roles, contact details, and costs. The projects they listed, one was software development, 2 were staffing, 2 were security. So I had a little doubt, I guess, there.
Yeah, I gave them an 18 for this one, just the lack of experience within the past 5 years for, particularly for utility water related work.
Fifteen, 12, and 18. 15. Yeah, 15, 12, and 18. 15. 15.
Willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. I gave them a 15 for this. I felt they did a good job kind of laying out the redundancies in their approach to the scheduling, to the project timeline, and chunking that out in tasks. I felt they did a good job on this information.
Stop.
They stated that they use AWS budgeting tools, which is a good backup, and that they would turn off the resources if we started reaching our limits, our budget limits. So I thought those 2 things were good. But in terms of some of the other requirements that were asked, I gave them 11 because I didn't feel like they really came through on some of them. So the 37. 12. 12, please.
Which criteria?
Number 3.
Okay. So what do we have for our active?
We had 11, 15, and 11. So we came up with a 12.
Criteria 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, so the
Okay.
12
All right, so let's give them
And-
13, please. 13.
No comfortable.
I am, yes.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's going to make a break. Sorry, I didn't.
So you can.
yeah, for the averages, it's
Yes. Criteria 4.
Okay, the ability to meet the schedule under 15 based on not having more enough information to know the strengths and weaknesses of all their team members with it's difficult to project the schedule.
I gave them a 0. Demographic representation of the current commitment over the next year. There's no description of the current workload. So I have a really hard time trying to invest in a fund that I'm not comfortable comfortable that they can meet the schedule.
I also would had questions about that, and I was trying to read into the project timeline and the way that they kind of base things out for staff availability, but I didn't see any information regarding staff availability or redundancies outside of just how they were going to be budgeting with AWS and Amazon Web Services, things like that. So had a bit of a question mark in my mind about how to score that. What was your score set? 15. I feel like there's capability I feel like it was there based on what they kind of presented, but I understand where you're coming from too. So that was a bit of a tough one for me. Where I don't think it will matter in the end, but I'll score them a 10 on this.
So we have a 25 total. So the average between that, the 56.
Eight.
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with that.
With an 8. Okay, let's go with an 8 on that one, please. Okay. That completes our evaluation.
Thanks.
Yes. Start off. You called it.
Category one, ability of the firm and professional staff, I think 15. They do have some AI experience, primarily in warehousing.
Sorry, I just want to clarify the word.
Right.
Okay.
I gave them 15 as well. I didn't feel like they gave us as much information as we'd asked for, and I was a little put off by the fact that they said organizational charts would be available upon request. We had requested them in the solicitation. So there were a lot of other things that I felt were missing, so I gave them 15.
I go to 23. For the reasons you just mentioned, it's good. I think from the individual perspective, I think that there's certainly some talent out there to do the things that we're asking next. Bit less confidence.
So we have 15, 15, 23. 18. 18.
18
We'll go
for
with 18 on that one.
criteria 1 for license.
Yes. Okay, the firm's experienced in projects of similar size and type. I gave them 12. There was no description of the firm's role with the project manager, cost, key personnel. Past projects were more about inventory. Page 18 indicates that the project manager has over 15 years of experience leading government infrastructure projects. It doesn't indicate anything about the number of years with Predictive. They had a number of inventory forecasting, historical sales and seasonal trends, historical usage patterns and operational trends, past distribution patterns, and seasonal demands. So I felt like they didn't have the experience that we would need for a project of this nature.
You think 17? Again, based primarily on their experience primarily on the warehouse. Yes. So modeling experience, but it's not directly.
Yeah, 16 for the water utility experience.
So I think we have 15 as an average there. That's good. 15. Yes. Period 3.
The firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. About 14 on this. Thought, I thought they based on the proposal that they kind of outlined, those abilities pretty well. Yeah, so referring specifically to the chart that just kind of outlines pretty full availability for most of their staff. So I think number 14 on this.
This is category 3, right?
Yes, category 3.
I gave him 13. Then you have relatively small staff. Yeah.
In 6, felt like they had a very small staff. They did have some backup staff and cross training, but I didn't thought they had the experience that we would need for them to be able to meet on budget and requirements. They do use Primavera, Microsoft Project, and Agile to manage some of their projects. They just felt like they were lacking in some of the other areas there. So we have 6, 14, 13. So that being that sounds reasonable.
Yes. It's up to 11 for category 3. They're category 4, they're already the first 3. So I gave that. Again, based on the fact that they have a small staff. Figuring further out their comment that staff.
Gave them 12. There was no description of the daily workload, current commitment. Looks like they have no way to work for the rest of the year. And I found that a little suspicious. So a little cautious there.
Number 20, because it showed that they were fully available for the next year, and I couldn't fault them with that, but I understand your interpretation.
Okay, so we have a 9, 12, and 20. 14. Sounds reasonable.
Yes. 14.
14. Yes. That finishes up. Everybody still good? Keep going. The next one is stellar. So criteria 1, ability of the firm and its professional personnel. I had that the organizational chart provided, or it was provided, people are listed, but not what their roles would be for the project, with the exception of Mr. Moss. Dr. Liu is shown as the key resource. They don't seem to have much experience with predictive modeling. There's no GIS experience listed, but they have worked with the utility in the past. There's no clear indication that they understand the parameters required for this type of predictive modeling, and no mention of the data layers that would be required to develop. So I gave them 16.
I gave them 17. You see, I hope they have it close to the IT services company as opposed to water focus. They do have one project, but it's vertical access.
After 21 on that, I thought, they do have some staff with AI ML experience, though no ArcGIS experience, I noted. And yeah,
All right, so there's 16, 17, 21, an average of 13.
It's 18 criteria one for stellar services.
Yes.
yes, firm experience with projects of a similar size and scope. At 19 for this one. Just they do have some utility experience. Mostly kind of hinging on that. Honestly, the clear understanding and some of these, technically speaking, were seen with regards to the scope, like pretty complex technically in nature. So I feel like they have the technical skills to handle some of those aspects of it, but that I don't think their experience in the utility arena can kind of, I don't know how well that would translate to their experience.
Category two, I gave them 13. They do have water experience, but it is in creating digital twins, representation of vertical assets. Doesn't involve a lot of data on that particular project. That's what it-
I scored them at a 13 as well. The cover letter talks about Newark Airport predictive modeling, but this wasn't one of the examples provided. I don't know if that was because they felt like the timeline didn't warrant that, but I felt like it says, within the past 5 years if possible. I think that if you've got experience in predictive modeling, we're requesting that, then that should have been one of the examples. They've used random forest and regression analysis, but not predictive modeling like any of the other cases. They have worked with utility in the past. Scores set for their potential ability to write code for a project of this nature, but there was no clear evidence that they could or would be able to do this. So I gave them 13. So we have 13, 13, 19. So I would say we have to average 15. That work. 15, please, for criteria number 2. Okay, criteria number 3.
I gave them a 13 on this particular one. They seem have adequate staff to do it. Task part of creative. So
I gave them a 13 as well. They indicated they would use the Atlas Scrum approach. They would provide written updates. They would develop a project work plan to track progress. There's no clear indication how the personnel will be assigned and no clear suggestions on how the project will be accelerated. There were no unique abilities, innovative approaches, or special considerations. So I gave
I think about 14 on this one.
so we have 13, 13, 14. 13 sound reasonable.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so 13, 30. Criteria number 4.
Effect of firm's recent, current, and projected workload. I have an 18 for this one. They have their commitment explanations are well delineated and outlined. I was dubious of the time commitment of the project manager there, but seems the technical staff is quite available for this project. So
I gave them a 10 on this one. Based primarily on the fact that I was certain there was a great match for skill set on
I gave them a 15 on this one. Felt like they could have been a little more thorough in the information that they were providing. And this area is limited to a 5-page, and they gave us less than a half page for this complete section. I didn't think that they were very forthcoming with asks. Describe current workload, daily ability, graphic representations, all that. So yeah, I gave them 15 on this one. So with that, we have 15, 18, and 10. So it looks like we will have a 14. 14, please. Yes. So that's kind of sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Category 1, you're looking for a professional. Personal ID 5. Okay. I like that they had small business certification, but I did not see any.
I gave them a 14. The only resume that was provided was from S. Lincoln. No other personnel were included. No organizational charts, no statement of roles. Most of the experience is cloud-based solutions, not predictive modeling. So, yeah, 14.
I gave him a 12. Well, a lot of experience for this gentleman. There's one staff. If there was mentioned, it was possible to bring in others. Not a lot of hard data science experience, hard modeling experience, or developing cross solutions, things like that.
All right, so we have a 5, a 14, and a 12. So I believe the average for that would be 10. It's harder. So 10, please.
For sure, link.
Yes, criteria. Criteria 2, experience with projects of a similar size and type. I guess, yeah, I was a little suspicious. The reference letters were on the bidder's letterhead, not on the original referee's letterhead. And so that to me is very troubling. I didn't see anything on predictive modeling. There was no indication of firm's role or key personnel on any of the past projects. There were no methods specifically outlined. So I gave them a 13 in this category.
I gave them a 1 simply because there's simply
Okay.
Yeah, I gave him a 7. Just kind of going through all of the resume kind of experience that was in the way that was presented. It's hard to kind of go through and find things that we could extrapolate age, how it would compare to this project. It's difficult to kind of sort through it all, but there were a lot of great experience and not much that could not think based on confidence for this project.
So we have a score of 13, 1, and 7. Gives an average of 7. So 7, please. So criteria 2. Criteria 3.
Firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. I gave them a 8. I don't know that with the size of the staff and the dubious nature of whether or not there will be others and how that be outsourced or things like that to kind of help with that. It was a little unclear. I'm just not sure that they were done.
I gave them a 5. Based it on how the fact that they are. Correct for me. I think it was possible to make a determination. Take real facts.
So I gave them a 5. And I based this on, they have a clause there that says, as an 8A certified business, we bring to the table unique advantages. Wasn't sure exactly what that was, but it says including access to specialized contracting opportunities, streamlined processes, and a proven track record of delivering quality services. They use the agile method. They have a dedicated project manager and team. Who is that team and what are their credentials? They say their team is cross-functional. Project acceleration, we compress development timelines using reusable data pipelines, pre-trained machine learning models, and containerized deployments via AWS Lambda and step functions. With all of that, I still was not impressed. So I gave it a 5. So we have a 5 and 8, 5. So that would give us an average of 6. It sounds reasonable. So 6 on criteria 3, please.
6.
Criteria 4.
Criteria for the effective return to increase current workload, gave them a 5. Which has been about being available in June 10th and mid-August. Not that. Yeah, I get your point.
I gave them a 9. Mr. Lincoln will lead with optional PM and developer / data scientist. There's no description of the workload or daily availability to handle scopes of services. The scope of services, they're available from mid-June to mid-August, after which they may have additional commitments, but they feel they can complete the project and timely access the data and resources. I'm just not sure. I mean, this is already past in June. So if they have additional responsibilities coming, then that would kind of limit their availability to concentrate on our project. So I gave them a 9 category.
I give it a 10. Focus on that clause about the availability from June to August, and I'm sure what that might be after the fact. It's just, the reasons.
Okay. So a 5, a 9, and a 10. So that would be an average of 8. So 8 please. Criteria 4.
Okay, so that completes all of our submitted proposals. I'm going to go back down the line here and read just where we gave each criteria to the guests to say agree, confirm, and say to make sure that we have the right one. So then I'll subtotal at the end of each one. So start in order here with AECOM. AECOM Technical Services, that you had a 32 for criteria 1.
That's correct.
29 for criteria 2.
Correct.
15 for criteria 3.
Correct.
And 19 for criteria 4.
Correct.
So that is a total score of 95. For Arcadis, we had a 34 for criteria 1, 28 for criteria 2, 14 for criteria 3,
Yes.
18 for criteria 4, for a total score of 94. CPH LLC, we had 20 for criteria 1,
Yes.
17 for criteria 2, 14 for criteria 3, and 19 for criteria 4,
Yes.
for a total score of 7. NOAA Solutions Inc., we had 3 for criteria 1, 1 for criteria 2, 1 for criteria 3,
Correct.
and 0 for criteria 4,
Correct.
for a total score of 5. Glitcher Inc., we had 26 for criteria 1, 15 for criteria 2, 13 for criteria 3,
Correct.
and 8 for criteria 4. For a total score of 62. Price FW Technologies Inc. at 18 for criteria 1, 15 for criteria 2, 11 for criteria 3, and 14 for criteria 4. Okay. For a total score of 58. Seller Services Inc. We had 18 for criteria 1, 15 for criteria 2, 13 for criteria 3, and 14 for criteria 4. For a total score of 60. And finally, Sherlink LLC, we had 10 for criteria 1, 7 for criteria 2, 6 for criteria 3, and 8 for criteria 4. For a total score of 31. Okay, so let me read those in order of their subtotal scores. AECOM Technical Services ranked first with 95 total points. Arcadis ranked second with 94 total points. CPH LLC ranked third with 70 total points. Litra Inc. ranked fourth with 62 total points. Seller Services Inc. ranked fifth with 60 total points. Price FW Technology ranked sixth with 58 total points. Sherlink LLC ranked seventh with 31 total points. And I Solutions Inc. ranked 8 with 5 total points.
Correct.
Okay, so committee members, if you can please submit some notes to Elizabeth so that she can complete the evaluation memo, what we discussed today and how it all went through. Everyone watching online and watching the recording, please monitor Bonfire for future updates around the next step related to the solicitation. If there's nothing else, that's going to conclude today's evaluation committee meeting for RPS-25-00208, predictive modeling for pipeline failures. Have a great day.
Thank you.